he was a boy. Everything he loved was taken from him. When he became a man, he would fulfill his destiny. He would raise an army, and he would take it all back. One day, he would rule the largest empire the world has ever known. Picture House presents a Sergei Bodrov film. To some, he was a brutal leader. To others, he was a god. Greatness comes to those who take it. Mongol, the untold story of Genghis Khan's rise to power.
Welcome back to Flicktease. There's a pretty spectacular look at historical epic called Mongol, which is, I believe, nominated for Best Oscar at the recent Oscars and lost out to The Counterfeiters, which was one of the movies of the year, The Counterfeiters. I haven't caught Mongol.
Obviously a good year for foreign films.
Absolutely. I haven't caught Mongol, but you have. Tell us about it.
I caught it on my own. It looks like it's going to be a really long epic, doesn't it, Gav? But it's 126 minutes. But do you know why it's not any longer?
Because they're
going to make more.
It?
No, because they're going to make more. It's the first part of a trilogy of Genghis Khan.
But see, my point is about trying to get off the subject here is you're telling an epic story. I know it's part one, but you're allowed to make a 180-minute movie. But when you're making a kids' movie or Sex and the City, it's not allowed to be that long.
No, snappy. Make it snappy.
But carry on.
These Mongols did ride over the steppes like hundreds and hundreds of times backwards and forwards. It's all got to be included in the movie, hasn't it?
Of course it does.
They had to travel long distances.
Now, obviously, it's the story of Genghis Khan, but
yes.
it's a story...
Now, is it Genghis or Genghis? Because when Tony introduced it at the Lunar, he said Genghis Khan, so I was not sure on the pronunciation.
We're never sure. It's like
and I obviously bow to your greater wisdom coming from Lunar Palace.
Well, it's like with Babel. You know, Babel became Babel.
Yes.
Halfway through the Oscar campaign, so you never know.
But that was an international film. I think there's excuses.
Yeah.
Well, there's no doubt.
So whether you pronounce it Genghis or Genghis Khan, Genghis or Genghis meaning the greatest warrior or and the Khan being the leader. Now, it begins with him as a 10-year-old boy when he takes steps that actually inexorably change his life forever. Little does he know that when he chooses a bride from one village as opposed to another village, who he's going to go back and later marry, things are going to change all around the neighbourhood, Gavin. He decides that he wants to make alliances with certain groups and unite all the forces in Mongolia. Very interesting.
Historically accurate?
Look,
to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, to the best of my absolute wisdom on the subject. But I have looked online and read a few forums, and people are saying, oh, to find out if it's really true, you've got to read this documentary works from this person, and you've got to read this. What people say basically is what we know about Genghis Khan is the most evil, fear-mongering, war-mongering type leader around. But they say normally history is written by the victors.
Yes.
And so they write about how leaders however they want. Most of the history about these Mongolian wars were all written by China and the bigger lands around it. So they have painted Genghis as a very evil warlord. Now, does he become more that way? Because in this movie, he's actually very thoughtful, and he takes guidance from his wife, and he tries to make balanced decisions and judgments. I don't know. Is he going to become a raving lunatic and chop everybody's heads off in the next instalment.
Certainly worth tuning to the next instalment. Oh, of course, it looks beautiful, of course.
Yeah.
And
it really does. The cinematography in those wide landscapes is quite amazing.
And you think wide appeal? I know all these movies don't always have wide appeal, but it's got great reviews.
I think a lot of people are interested, and people who I didn't know were interested have actually said, now I've seen stuff about this movie, so what, you know, is it worth seeing? Should I go? I would say that probably some people will get bored because there are lots of long, slow, sweeping marches across plains and snowy
And people have to read the subtitles.
And
I mean,
the subtitles.
sometimes that's tough for
Shot
some
mainly
people.
in Kazakhstan and China. Definitely worth looking at. Whether you've got the tenacity to stay with it or not is entirely up to you. I'm giving it full price just because I know that it is high art. How's that?
Good review. You did very well. That was a great monologue. You did very well.